So how many people have looked at their hives so far? A few? Yeah, and a few have, and I think the consensus was that they were going okay. Okay, let's start with you, Wombat. Have you looked at your hives yet?
I've done about a third. I've actually done about a third. Most of them are looking pretty good, so we'll just see what happens. I'm going to add boxes on while I'm swarming.
Whatever my device does.
Wombat's down sort of Walkerville way, down along the coast, and I'm up in the Strez Lakeys, and it sounds as though both the hives are sort of similar. Mine are, every year's different, and I can't, they're just so strong this year. Are they really strong for you? Yeah, lots of brood, lots of laying, so I feel as well that I'll be adding a box soon, otherwise I'll have swarming happening. How are yours going, Rob?
They seem to be travelling along all right. Earlier in the year, was in February, March, I put mostly new queens in, and hopefully the young queens won't want to leave the hive so early in the season. Hopefully they'll stay back. So that was one method I used. Another one, after looking in the hives just a week ago, I decided to try and put in some foundation. I rotated some old black comb out, and that's easy to find this time of year in some of the lighter hives. The bees have eaten them out and there's not much left, so I thought it might be a good idea to take some of that old dirty comb out and put the foundation in. And my thought with putting the foundation in rather than drawn out comb was to keep the young bees active also. I think it's important to keep the queen active, give her lots of space to lay new eggs, but also to keep the rest of the tribe happy. And I just thought, well, if I put in foundation, not too much, I put maybe a couple of frames in each box, and that keeps the young ones going, and maybe it gives the queen perception while there's new frames being drawn out, there must be space, I'll stay.
So Rob, when you put new frames in, so your bottom box, you're taking the two outer frames out?
Basically, yeah.
And then putting them in the middle of the top of this next box up?
No, well sometimes I take the two outer frames out and ditch them.
Right.
I melt them down.
Right.
So,
but if you're rotating them, you go from outer on the bottom box to inner on the next box up?
And another way, on couple of my hives, they were strong hives, and I thought, well, I'll put a third box on. And I did exactly what Peter said. I took the outer frames out and put them up the top, and then I've still managed to get the foundation in down below in the brood boxes, and then I put the honey that there was spare, which may be 6 or 7 frames there still. I put half of that up the top, and then that gave me the space to put the foundation in. That's what I did last week.
Well, I work a bit different. I work with 2 full boxes, and then I run ideals, a queen screen in between the 2 full boxes, so I can put drawn comb back in the brood box.
Okay, so as far as inspecting hives in spring, I guess everybody's different, and so the way I do things is not necessarily the way you would do things, but basically when I'm opening up a hive for a spring inspection, the first thing I'm doing is I'm just looking at the front of the hive, and if I've got a number of hives, I can compare them as far as strength, as far as activity, just by looking at the hive initially before opening the box. And then particularly early in spring, when I'm opening the box, probably the first thing I'm doing is gauging, have they got enough stores? Because most of us now know about false springs. Sometimes we can get a warm spell and the colony expands, and then there's a cold snap, and there's a lot more mouths to feed, but the bees can't get out to get any food, and so they use up all their resources inside the hive, and that's when they starve and die. So the first thing I'm doing early spring is gauging how much stores there is. And then as far as brood inspection, I'm looking at the health of the brood. The larvae should be nice and pearly white. There should be a nice laying pattern. We could go on and on, but what do you do, Wombat?
Well, I just look for the good brood pattern and the dirty comb, work them out, and then replace them with foundation in the second box.
And my first job I do for the season is I pick up 2 boxes and clean the floor off. And I find that on my hives, they're pretty grubby. There's a lot of encouragement for disease and pests to get in and hide in there. Some of the hives are slightly on one side, big wet patch on the back. I find even if you tilt the hives forward like I did, the condensation goes up and it forms at the back of the hive. It all dropped down and it was all wet along the back of the hive, and that's where just the dirt and crud was collecting. So I think it's really important to get the floor out and scrape it, unless you've got the blue.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I only run the blueberries bottom boards, so my bottom boards, I don't get the build up of crud. It's a lot cleaner, so that's probably why I didn't mention it. Yeah. Is there any quick?
I just run spare bases, so if I'm doing 10 hives, I take 10 new bases and just swap them over and then bring them back and hit it with a blowtorch and sterilise them.
That's the way to do it, yeah. Is there any questions people want to ask? So, yeah.
The question, this year, 3 of my hives at Ballara, normally they're fairly dry on the bottom board. When I opened them up this afternoon, 2 out of the 3 were very wet, very like a wet mud in the bottom, John, so I've cleaned it all up. Would that be because I think the bees have blocked the vents at the top during the winter, and it's maybe stopped the moisture to be able to get out of the top vents?
Maybe.
I don't know what the answer to vents or no vents is. What do you think, Ron? As far as vents or no vents? Don't run vents. I don't know whether it adds to condensation by them being blocked or not.
I get a lot of condensation in hives.
Sometimes I open a hive and there's condensation and I don't really know why.
I'd say 50%. Where 50% would be having a lot of condensation and 50% don't. I don't know why.
Yeah. Is there any more questions?
I got my boxes up this week, and I've been concerned because one of my boxes appears to be overcrowded. It has been for 3 or 4 weeks. A lot of bees, and when they come out the daytime, there's a lot sitting on the front of the box. They seem to have trouble lining up, going in and out, but they're out feeding, bringing in nectar and that. So if the hive is overcrowded, what's the answer to that?
Put a box on.
Yeah, put a box.
Do you put another box on? I run 2 brood boxes, and I've just put a super on top with a queen divider there. But the 2 brood boxes are still, these are still crowded on the outside through the day. They all go back into the box at night time, in the hive at night time. But concerned about the overcrowding. How would you do splits, or would you?
Depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You're the beekeeper.
That's a choice you have as a beekeeper.
You can create some more. You like Rob was saying before, you could put a couple of new or drawn out frames in the brood box to give the queens some more room to lay. And then if there's any honey, if you want to put an extra box on, if there's some honey or there's some fully capped frames of bees, you could put them above a queen excluder in a third box. So create some more space in the brood box and move some frames up.
Yeah.
Was what I would do.
So you basically checkerboard the brood boxes a little bit with.
Not so much completely checkerboard, but maybe put a couple of new frames in the brood box,
Yeah.
and either take a couple of frames out and dispose of them if you want to, or move them up.
Yeah. One thing I looked at, they suggested we could reverse the brood boxes, the one that's on the bottom, and swap it to the top, and it was suggested that the queen would be working in the top box maybe, and by reversing them it takes the queen back down the bottom box and gives her more room to work through there.
Yeah, I reversed some of my boxes, and I found that the ones that had eaten out the bottom box and they'd migrated up to the second brood box, I swapped them over, and with those ones I took out quite a bit of the old comb and replaced it with new. But I find that if there's brood in both boxes, sometimes you'll separate it too much by when you reverse the boxes. So it just depends. If they're all consolidated in the top box, yes, I'll swap them over. But if there's brood in both boxes, I can't see the point of swapping them over.
Okay, thanks.
Would you recommend, if you're finding queen cells at this time of year, would you recommend destroying them?
Actually, I was just going to say one of my hives I opened up, and maybe one of the more experienced beekeepers give me advice, but a lot of drone brood, but there was a queen cell and one capped queen cell I saw, and a nearly capped queen cell. So I'm not sure whether it's a drone layer and they're trying to make a queen, which will be dud, or is it a failing queen and because there was still worker bees, there was worker bees there too, a lot of drones. Ron, do you have any thoughts on that? Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. Didn't spot the queen on that inspection, but I've left. I thought I'll come back in a few days and I'll check it again to see what it is. But that was an interesting one. I've got a photo on my phone if anybody would like to see that. But sorry, what was the question again? If there's any queen cells?
Yeah, if you're finding queen cells at this time of year, is it recommended to destroy them all?
Again, that's everybody's different, aren't they? I mean, I've done that before. I've knocked them all off, and then that might buy you a few days or a week or two, and I've destroyed them before and given them more space and got away with it. And I've destroyed them all and they've built them again quicker. So, and then I guess you could do a split, but then you've got to either. Yeah, you just have to let them make a queen if you haven't got a queen to put in there.
Might be a good opportunity to, if you've got an old queen, kill the queen, let one of the queen cells give you a new queen.
Yeah, that's another option. You got any more options, guys?
Oh, one of the hives last year had about 15 queen cells, so I split it into 3 hives. Out of the 16 frames, I made 3 hives out of it. So I couldn't find the queen both times I went through it, so I just turned it into 3 hives. And they all took off, and they were all real jittery, but they worked real well.
I noticed a few black hive beetles,
Yes.
small hive beetles
Yeah.
in my hives, and I look carefully now when I peel the mat back. Quickly pull it back. That's virtually the first thing I look for. How many beetles are underneath? The most I counted in one hive was 6. And I want to know what's acceptable, and I've got half of them. Before you have to start putting in traps, does anyone know?
I'd put them in.
Always trap,
I'd put them in.
What, even if there's a couple?
Yep.
I reckon.
Yeah.
Everyone you kill.
It's a very cheap insurance policy,
Put
I reckon.
some traps.
There's nothing to lose by having them in there.
Yeah.
No.
And I think too, if you see, say, 6 in your hive, you can guarantee there's probably at least 18. Plenty you don't see. Yeah.
For the last,
I
for the last 3 or 4 years up in Melbourne North, I've noticed the occasional hive with 2, 3 beetles, and usually I'll squash them, and I don't know, because I'm running the blue bees bottom boards, I don't know if that helps or not, but but they haven't sort of taken off.
Yeah, well, on one of my hives, I had a single box, a newt that I brought through the winter, and this was the one I peeled off 3 weeks ago, had a look, and there must have been 8 or 10 under there. So keep an eye on that box. Went back 2 weeks later, couldn't see anything. Don't know. Couldn't see any small hive beetle.
Have you got a screen bottom board?
No. No.
Might be worthwhile putting a screen bottom board on that hive and something to catch them underneath and just count it that way. A very easy method is a bit of Chuck's cloth on the top scuff. Put it on, put the lid back on, come back 24 hours.
And I said, and that will get them out.
Yeah,
That will catch them.
Caught in the fibres, you'd be surprised how many you've actually let.
Yeah.
Just dry.
All right.
Just a dry Chuck's cloth, scuff it up with a bit of sandpaper on concrete,
Right.
lay it under the lid from side to side with the lid on top, but pull it out 24 hours later, or else the bees will drag it all the way through and out the entrance. 24 hours exactly, pull it out. You'd be surprised how many.
Let's try it. Thank you.
Works.
Yeah, well, Roland and I inspected 4 of our hives recently. We've got 2 of them have got blue bottom boards, and we had one of those hives had quite a bit of more small hive beetle than we've ever seen before. It just happened to be one of the ones that had the board, and we must have killed about a dozen. We put in a trap, came back a week later, and there was 30 in the trap.
Well,
Really?
and we thought we got them all, but obviously not. They
Yeah.
hide.
They hide.
Sneaky.
Yeah, we thought we
Have you been slimed before with small hive? Have you had that happen? It's awful, and it is such a hard to clean up job. It's devastating. It's sickening to look at. I've had that mistake before. That it got too far too quick. You don't want to. You don't want
How
to go
long
there.
does it take to get from the beetle stage to the slime stage?
So I knew I had some there. Beetles getting around. It was the first year that I'd seen them in Macclesfield. There was none for years, and then they're there. Obviously, they've migrated to the area, and I'm like, oh, so that's what they are. Cool. Read up. What do I do? Oh, that looks like an easy solution. Traps and stuff. Yeah, I see what I need to do. It was about 2 or 3 weeks before I went and saw Beck from Beck's Bees, and by the time I got the traps and then put them in, it was all done. So it was absolutely disgusting, and it was just such a waste. The bees hadn't absconded, like I just got it before that, but it was an awful thing. So $2 for a trap for one hive for the whole summer, just to empty every time you go in there, tap it out, empty it, put some more cooking oil in. It's that's not an issue compared to having the devastation of it being slimed.
Right, it'll be about 10 to 7 days.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
7 to 10 days from the time you first.
one of your photos was.
Another thing I was trying
it wasn't my one, but
hive
yeah.
beetle last summer was I find that if you scrape the top bars clean and put the mat on, the small hive beetles have got space to hide in between the mat and the top bar. And last year I didn't scrape any of the top bars, and I've got 10 mil, 15 mil of wax build up on the top bars now, and I just lay the mat on top of that, and I can see there's nowhere for the small hive beetle to hide, and the bees can get in and chase them out. I'm not sure. That seems to be working.
And if you elevate the hive, because they pupate in the earth, so if you elevate the hive, you'll get less crawling in the entrance. It reduces the number as well. Just use an old pallet.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, they're off the ground.
yeah.
Just get them up off the ground about a brick height
Yeah.
on the side. Reduces the amount of beetles that come in through the entrance.
Any more questions from any concerns as far as?
If we've done all that work and we still are concerned about the hive swarming, what sort of things can we do to keep a swarm or keep in touch with the swarm and recover it?
Well, this time of year, particularly with how strong my hives are at the moment, I inspect regularly. Even again, like Simon said, you don't have to pull the whole hive apart. You just need to take a few frames out generally to see what's happening. But regular inspections, probably as far as queen cells being made, it's every 9 to 12 days. I think you probably should inspect to make sure that they're not plotting to swarm. And then if they are, then you've got to, and then if they are making queen cells, well then, as we said before, there's a number of options. You've just got to decide what to do. And I don't have the exact answer as to
One of
what.
the things that I've done is I've put a swarm catch box close.
Ah, yeah, that's a
in
good
the
idea.
front
Yeah,
path,
yeah,
and that's there ready
yeah.
if they do
Mm.
swarm, and hopefully I'll attract them into that swarm box.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, and that was one of my to-do things on my list this year, which I haven't done yet. But because I had at each apiary you have 1 or 2 swarm boxes. I don't know if any more, the more experienced. Have you done that? One, yeah. So that's got a swarm box with a lure in it, and hopefully the scout bees from the hives will decide that that's a place to go.
Yeah, just with scout lure boxes, something I had read was they like something smelly to attract them into the boxes, so I left some old comb in there. That was a bad idea.
No, that's not.
Because the
That's a
wax
box.
moths really loved it.
Yeah.
So don't do it.
That's actually against the biosecurity code as well. Yeah, it's not.
But it works.
Oh yeah, well, it probably does, but no, you don't. You can leave empty frames. I think you can leave. You can put frames in with a little wax strip up the top, or yeah.
Another thing you can use is oil of cloves.
Oil of cloves. What is it?
Oil of cloves.
Oh yeah, lemongrass oil. I think from what the way it was described to me to do the lemongrass oil was on a cotton ball or bud, just a little. Yeah, in a.
And
There you go.
about 4 drops in each end. Whack it in there. Seal it up. Poke a few holes so the aroma can come out, and that's quite effective apparently.
And put it at the back of the
Put it
box.
in the back of the box.
In the back box. In an empty box. Yeah, lemongrass oil. Yeah.
So going through the bait boxes again, number one, how far away from the hive and where, and
About 2 to.
obviously it's a brood box,
Mm.
but how many, undrawn frames?
Actually, I found a good blurb by a guy called the Practical Beekeeper in Melbourne on how to build a swarm box, and then he's got notes on how to set it up and whatever. So if you like, I can send that to people if they want that. That's a great little blurb. Did you want to say something, Simon?
I was going to say, I've put drawn comb into a swarm box because it's already too late. They've swarmed and they're in the air. So if you've got any hanging around, you get out there and then get them in there so that the home's already furnished, so that when they're out there flying around and they see that, they're just going to go, thank you very much. But yeah, I wouldn't leave them in there for days. But if I've already stuffed it up and they're already flying, which happens every now and again, then make the home look good, so they want to go there.
As far as placement, I think, as you said before, watch where your flight path is and place the box as close
I think
as
they
you
say.
can
But
to the
how
actual
far
flight
away?
path.
Are you talking about 10 metres or 30 metres?
I'm not sure how far away, but I think it's. I don't think it's an exact science, but it's 2 to 3 metres above the ground. But it's, yeah, in a tree or something like that. And
It's been my experience that when the swarm first happens, they clump within about 20 feet or 40 feet of the original hive, just to make sure the queen is actually in the middle, and then they may stay there for 5-10 minutes, they may stay there for 2 or 3 days, and then the scouts are really working flat out to find a spot for that hive to.
I actually read that the scout bees serve 70 square kilometres, up to something like that. It's just,
If you've got a
yeah,
favourite,
not always, but that's sort of an area. The type of area that they look for a suitable home. Yeah.
You'll quite often find that there'll be a lemon tree or an apple tree or something like that, where in the past they've aggregated when they first leave the hive, and it's highly likely that they'll go back to there the following year. So I would put the hive
Thanks, David. Okay, at this point, we'll break for supper, and look, we always have a good chat at supper time, so if there's any more questions, yeah, talk to us or talk to other beekeepers, and hopefully we can all help each other. Thanks again, Simon.
No worries. Thanks for having us.